how to make real change with accountability. Welcome to the Hopefulist with me, Wendy McClure. This is where we turn those nasty, negative thoughts into positive and work toward a happy, fulfilled life. Now, let's get started. Hello, and thank you for joining me. I really appreciate you taking some time to spend with me here on the Hopefulist. So, we are smack dab into fall now. We're in it. We're living it. Yeah, it's here. Anyone excited about Halloween? A lot of times people just skip from Halloween right to Thanksgiving and Christmas. The stores certainly do that. I have been seeing Christmas decorations, and not decorations, but selling decorations for a good couple weeks now. It's been a while. Yeah, they usually put them out in the beginning of September. Isn't that kind of crazy? Skipping on past. Halloween's not such a big deal to me anymore. I used to love watching the kids all dressed up and all of that kind of stuff. I live in kind of a resort area. It's seasonal. A lot more people live here year-round than used to. So what they started doing was making up a map of houses that were going to be home and giving out candy on Halloween. And I took part in that for a couple of years. And the last couple of years, I don't know. It's not worth it to me anymore. You know, it's like all this trouble. You got to get up. The dog is going crazy. The kids. I used to let the kids like pick out their candy. And I had a kid one year. I'll never forget this. He's like 6 or 7. Just taking handfuls of candy. He went in 3 times and just took handfuls of the candy I had in there. And finally I'm like, oh, okay, that is enough. Because I typically get like 2 different types of candy, so I'll let them pick. Do you want the Kit Kat or do you want the Reese's Pieces? So I would let them pick, and then I realized you just can't do that. They just take advantage. So I've been soured a little bit on Halloween. That's okay. It's not a big deal, big deal, that is. I don't know why I can't speak. Because I'm gearing up. Oh, yeah. I am gearing up for Christmas because I am the Christmas crazy lady. That's right. I love me some Christmas. I put my tree up super early, way before Thanksgiving. I do not wait for Thanksgiving, nor do I skip over Thanksgiving, which is something I have been accused of in the past. You just skip right over Thanksgiving. I absolutely do not skip over Thanksgiving. I love eating my turkey and stuffing and mashed potatoes and cornbread casserole and green bean casserole. I do it next to my tree. Makes it even more festive for me. Makes me even more thankful, right? That's what it's all about. Thanksgiving, giving thanks. Thankful that I have my Christmas tree to look at all the time. I got to tell you, I have a year-round nautical tree, and that has really quenched my desire for the Christmas tree to an extent. It's not the same by any means. It's very small. It's a skinny little tree. It's got all of the nautical ornaments on it, shells, what have you. I just think that, Christmas trees are just so beautiful. I mean, sometimes I get really into it. I've gotten really into decorating the tree the last couple of years. It's a lot of work. But usually it's very worth it. So I can't believe I'm talking about Christmas in October. But yeah, I'm a jump the gunner. I certainly do. But it makes me happy. So I embrace it. And that's okay. Not skipping Thanksgiving, not skipping Halloween. I'm just doing what makes me the happiest, what brings me the most joy. So let's get to that quote of the day. We arrive here as perfect little bundles of joy and then set about the task of learning to unlove ourselves. How unbelievably ridiculous is that, right? Completely ridiculous. And we all do it. You know, think back to when you were a kid where you would just run and play and be yourself and sing out loud. Do all kinds of things that you wouldn't even consider doing now. Remember back to your own children, how free and original and creative in themselves they were until society gets a hold of them. And then it's a completely different story. So, you know, maybe we just need to be ourselves. I mean, I know that's the answer. It's just so hard for us to do. When it comes to stuff like that, I think about my dog. She is the best thing ever. You know, I love my dog. I know most people love their dogs. And the thing about her is, and the thing about any dog, completely 100% themselves 100% of the time. She doesn't care what I think. She's just being herself. She's going to do what she wants to do no matter what I say, think, what have you. She's going to do her. She's going to be her. And I love her for it. She's the best. I don't think I could love her anymore. She's just the best. And she's completely and totally herself, just like we all are as children. So today we're going to be talking about accountability, and a lot of you won't like that because that means, taking responsibility. Taking responsibility for where you are right now in life. We don't like to think about it. We don't like to talk about it because it makes us feel bad. But you can't start to change something until you realize what the problem is and or has been. You know, we have to have that awareness. Remember, a couple weeks back, we did a podcast about awareness. Now we're going to be talking about accountability because it's your job to make life good for yourself. It's your job to make sure that you are doing the things that bring you joy, that make you feel fulfilled and satisfied. I found some information from a website called developgoodhabits.com. And they say there are a lot of definitions of accountability out there, but knowing what accountability means doesn't equate to maintaining it as a value in your life. While personal accountability may be defined in several ways, all of the definitions have a few common factors, so focus on these. Everyone who defines this concept agrees that having accountability involves making a commitment to feel empowered to accept ownership of your tasks. Right? It's time to accept ownership. When something goes wrong and you find that you typically become upset, look the other way, or shut down in response, you're displaying defense mechanisms to avoid having to face the situation. We've all done it. When faced with the opportunity to take on more responsibility, you may think things like, I'm not good enough, or I don't know how. However, what's the root of those thoughts is I'm not willing to try. Right? So here's some signs that you need to build more personal accountability in your life. Do you do any of these things? You always have an excuse. You blame other people for your shortcomings or mistakes. You don't follow through with your promises. You're waiting for blank to happen because once it does, your life will be better. Oh, that was me. That was me to a T. Or you expect other people to fix your problems. That was my mother. So let's take a look at why you should want to build more personal accountability in your life. When you have personal accountability, you're eager to take charge of your life, tackle new challenges, and reap the benefits of facilitating a success of some sort. You're constantly wondering, what can I do to make this better? Or what can I learn from my mistakes? Everything in life happens as a direct result of your actions. And it's only when you can take 100% responsibility for your choices that you will lead a meaningful and fulfilling life. When you stop blaming external forces, I'm all tongue twisted today, I apologize. When you stop blaming external forces, you can redirect that energy to focus on creating a better situation for yourself. You have to understand and accept that you're the one. It's your responsibility who is in charge of your circumstances, because this will encourage you to be proactive in making a change for the better. Once you accept accountability, you will genuinely believe the truth, which is that everything around you is the outcome of your decisions. So let's look at some specific habits that you can adopt to build more personal accountability in your life. Make a commitment. You have to decide what you want to achieve, which will then make it clear what you're staying accountable for. Once you've decided, you have to make a commitment to being personally accountable. This isn't really something that can come and go. You need to be able to commit to the following: taking responsibility for your decisions and actions, whether they're right or wrong. We're going to make mistakes. We're human. We are not going to get everything right. So then you need to listen to and learn from feedback. Learn from your mistakes and take corrective action. Be honest and genuine in your work, and be reliable. So people know they can count on you, but more importantly, you know you can count on you. You need to gain some clarity when trying to gain accountability. Many mistakenly start by listing the task that they will be held accountable for. However, one of the first things you should do is specifically define people's expectations of you. This means you have to break down your objectives down to the point where there is no room for interpretation about what the outcome should look like. What is it that you want? How will you get there? Right? How will you get there? What do you expect from yourself? Be realistic. If you overcommit yourself, not only are you likely to forget something important, you also may start cutting corners in your work to get it done faster. This will only decrease the quality of your outcomes. So be sure to know your limits and be realistic when making commitments to others. Don't overshoot, because then you're not going to do anything. Trust me, I know. I do it all the time. And because having personal accountability is a choice that you have to accept, this means that you need to learn to say no, too, when it's necessary. You can't agree to do everything that's asked of you and expect it to be done well. So when you're trying to be more accountable and you want that accountability to be rewarding, you have to be realistic about how you plan to distribute your time. You need to create SMART goals. SMART goals. What are SMART goals? Well, SMART goals are goals that you can measure your progress as you go. When you know exactly how you are going to complete your goals, you'll be able to measure your progress and assume accountability for what you have and haven't done to achieve your goals. So, what is a SMART goal? It's an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. With this in mind, you know that you will need a clear deadline in order to claim victory. Don't say, I want to lose 5 pounds. Say, I want to lose 5 pounds by when? right? Since this is the case, you need to make proper progress along the way and reach your smaller objectives so you're moving forward towards success, which requires you be accountable. Eliminate blame. No matter what, you will have setbacks when you're working toward your goal. But when you're facing a hurdle, you can't look to external sources to blame for the issue. And while you don't have to beat yourself up and assume all fault for everything that goes wrong, you do need to feel the necessary empowerment to reflect on what went wrong and figure out how to make things turn out differently in the future. You have to recognize that you control your actions and whatever outcomes result. I told you, you might not like this one. It's up to you. It's always been up to you. Practice holding yourself accountable. When you have accountability, there is someone or people who are looking to you for an end result. People are counting on you. To get used to this, start counting on yourself. You need to keep the promises you make to yourself. Accountability also requires ongoing feedback. You need to hear what you're doing well and what you need to improve. So create formal systems and processes so you don't miss this critical step. Feedback is always good. And get yourself an accountability partner. You know, people do this a lot when they're starting a fitness program. Find an accountability partner who will follow along with your progress, show up for you, be there for you, and will help you reach your goals by offering guidance and making sure that you keep those promises that you make to yourself. It's kind of similar to having a mentor, but this is a mutually beneficial relationship in which both people benefit from the feedback and support of their partner. So building personal accountability doesn't have to be scary or involve a lot of self-blame. Instead, making the decision to do this should mark an empowering transition to a new phase of your life where you can gain control of your time and gain control of that person that you want to be. None of this is easy. It's difficult. But you have to admit that where you are today is because of every decision that you have made up until this moment. And you have to get over what has happened to you in the past. You know, I didn't have the greatest upbringing. I didn't have parents that doted on me or made me a priority or made me feel special or anything like that. And I can't just keep going back to that, blaming that for the reason that I still have baggage, you know, that I still react in certain ways because of those situations from when I was growing up. You know, and honestly, I really have never been a priority in someone's life until my husband and I got together. And that was something that I always craved. And it held me back a lot because it affected my self-worth. It affected my confidence and how valuable I was to this world. And I made a lot of decisions based on that wrong thinking. But now I have to realize that it's time for me to take control, that I have to be the one to move past it, to be okay with it, and to move forward. Because at 50-some years old, it's no longer my parents' fault. It's mine. And I have to move forward in my life having taken the accountability that even though that did happen to me, it's up to me how I go forward. And also realize that a lot of that old baggage, those limiting beliefs that we have from when we were children, has really been holding us back a lot. So keep that in mind. You are going to benefit so greatly by taking accountability in your life. It's something to journal about and to maybe talk to, the people close to you. Ask them what they think about how you've handled certain situations in your life. And if they think that maybe you still have some limiting beliefs or you have some thoughts that don't really match up with what they think about you. It's the way that you can get to a happy, fulfilling, satisfying life. So once again, thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you can, please leave me a review. It would mean so much to me. And share this podcast with your friends. If you think that somebody could use maybe a little more accountability and you don't want to bring it up to them, just point them toward the podcast. That would be so much simpler. No confrontation whatsoever. So thank you again. I appreciate you. And I want you to now go on out there and be badass because I'm here cheering you on. Thank you for listening to The Hopefulist. Now, don't you feel good? Make sure you come back next week. See you then.